Elena's short tail. Society of Ecstasy HQ. They should have been back now. Alice Romanova thought silently. Her green eyes gazed intently down the road as she stood impatiently outside the cathedral gates, watching each and every passing denizen of the Eastern District walk by the society headquarters. She had given the scroll to Samuel nearly 15 minutes ago, and with the nightmare he rode, he and her daughter should have been in front of the cathedral by now. Her head craned past the brick and mortar pillar of the gate, but saw no sign of them. Just the various individuals that lived in the Eastern District. Alice sighed and placed her forehead in her hand. Damn it. And as Mrs. Romanova. Alice's head shot up and turned back around the pillar. In the distance, a familiar figure dashed toward her like a charging fellhunter, quickly gaining ground with each passing second. Elena was sprinting as fast as her legs could carry her, arms constantly swinging to give her that extra push and short hair bouncing with each step forward. She spotted a familiar-looking parchment held tightly in her right hand, and once the girl was mere steps away from her, she sputtered to an abrupt stop. Elena placed her hands on her knees and bent down, panting heavily. Hi, Mrs. Romanova. Elena greeted once she caught her breath, looking up at her with a smile. Elena. Why are you in such a hurry? Alice asked incredulously. Is something wrong? Elena coughed and pulled herself up, shaking her head. No, nothing's wrong. Here. She presented the scroll to the elder Romanova. Aneska said that she was in a hurry and asked me to deliver this to you. She said it was urgent, so I ran all the way here. Alice's eyes widened. Elena, you shouldn't push yourself like that. It's okay. I'm not tired. She coughed. Hack. Phew, Alice couldn't help but sigh. Despite her appearance and demeanor, Elena seemed to possess the same incredible energy that her daughter had. Thank you, Elena. You're welcome, Mrs. Romanova. Elena straightened her back and ran her hands through her boyish hair, sweat accumulating on her fingers. Did Aneska stop by before she left? No. I was standing here for the past 30 minutes waiting for Samuel. Alice looked down the road one last time before quietly groaning in defeat. She must have urged him to take another route to avoid the cathedral. Oh. Elena rubbed the back of her neck, suddenly, wishing she had not brought this up. Well, she did say she was in a hurry. I had hoped that she could make one quick delivery before she left for the upper realm. Alice's eyes looked down the path out of the Eastern District, silently contemplating. Slowly, she turned toward her daughter's young friend. I'm sorry for asking this of you, Elena, but, yeah, I mean, she cleared her throat. Yes, Mrs. Romanova. Could you make a delivery for me? It's within the Eastern District and is not far from Ellen's estate. Elena glanced nervously to the side, hand rubbing the back of her head. Well, she started. I want to help, Mrs. Romanova, but it might take a little while. She paused, trying to think of the right words. I still can't really use my soul energy very well, so it might take a long time. Alice smiled. Come with me. Huh? But I didn't come along, child. I have an idea. But before she knew it, Alice Romanova's back faced her and she disappeared behind the corner. She didn't say that she could do it, just that, if she did, it would take a long time. That's what she meant, right? Elena. Coming, Mrs. Romanova. She hurried after the elder Romanova and ran past the gate into the cathedral's grounds. It should be quick, right? Society of Ecstasy HQ. Armory. Elena. eyed her new sword with glee. It was barely large enough to even be considered one for most adults. But for Elena, it fit perfectly in her hand and was easy to use. Each swing was punctuated by a loud, quick yell, and her body hopped in time to a silent rhythm, the girl mimicking her character's trademark mannerisms. She positioned the small shield on her opposite hand in front of her, as if she was blocking an attack, and thrust her shield arm several times in succession, pretending that she was deflecting an attack to force an opening. Remember, Elena, those aren't toys. Be careful with them. I know. I know. Elena responded, looking at her reflection from the sword. She turned to face Mrs. Romanova, the joyful smile present on her face. Thank you so much, Mrs. Romanova. I promise, I won't break them. Alice returned her smile. Remember what I said, okay? She nodded. Yes, Mrs. Romanova. These are real, so I shouldn't use them unless I absolutely have to. Good. I know that you only want them for your costume, Elena, but don't get carried away. You know what can happen if you hurt the wrong person. Elena nodded. Yes, I understand. How's the seal? The girl placed her shield on the nearby rack and looked at the palm on her left hand. Okay, I guess. It still burns a little, but it doesn't really hurt. She flexed her hand open and close, eyes focused on the markings now present on her skin. Will this really let me use my soul energy like an Eska can? Alice stepped off of the stool and stood before Elena, towering over her. Yes, it should. Remember, the soul seal will let you use your soul energy more naturally, but you have to remain focused. She walked to the side of the armory and effortlessly picked up a heavy carved stone ball, supporting it with a single hand and placing it before Elena with a loud, echoing thump. Try and lift this up, Elena. Elena's eyes widened. What? But that thing must weigh a ton. Can't I lift something lighter? Don't worry. It won't feel heavy as long as you stay focused, Alice said reassuringly. Remember what my daughter taught you. Slowly breathe the life in. Slowly breathe the death out. Self-control is important, Elena. The more you have, the stronger your soul will be. Elena glanced hesitantly between Mrs. Romanova and the giant rock ball in front of her. She gently set the sword against its stand next to her new shield and exhaled. Okay, here goes. Her eyes closed, and she drew a deep breath, letting the air fill her lungs and holding it before exhaling. The familiar thump rang in her ears and the breeze once again passed her feet, but it felt much stronger than the last time she practiced with an Eska. Elena's eyes snapped open, and she reached for the bottom of the carved spear. With both hands on the bottom, she struggled to lift it up, and to her utter shock, she felt the spear leave the ground. In seconds, she hoisted the heavy spear above her head, and she barely felt the heaviness of the stone, not even for a second. I did it. I did it. Elena spouted excitedly. Images of the one statue holding the world on his shoulders flashed in her mind. Was this what it felt like for him? Mrs. Romanova. This is Amaziah. Her foot slipped, but she held the stone. The weightlessness was gone. She felt her arms shake and her legs quake against the floor. It felt like it was going to crush her. Elena, stay focused, Alice commanded. Elena gulped and fought back the fear welling up in her stomach. She shut her eyes and concentrated on her hands, and to her relief, felt the stone ball become a regular ball again. Slowly, she placed the carving back onto the floor before finally sighing and leaning against it.